We are live on Facebook, people. I'm going to keep an eye. Hi, everyone. If you can see us or hear us, please just let us know. I'm just updating my phone to see if we actually live. And I'm never sure.
I know, we're not very confident.
I'm never completely sure. Come on. I think we are live, yes. Okay. I'm gonna keep an eye on my phone for questions. Right, so we are here. I'm Antonina Mamzenko, Emma Collins. We are Real Life Photo Academy. And we are here with the wonderful Kirsty Larmour. That's right, Larmour? Am I saying it right?
Larmour. Yeah.
I remember that it wasn't like you think it is.
Yeah, it's not.
For years I was saying Larmour, Kirsty Larmour. And then
yeah.
Larmour.
It's just not quite as sexy as that. It's more like the animal, like llama. Yeah.
You can pretend.
Yeah.
So Kirsty, I don't know if probably everyone knows Kirsty. Like probably don't need to introduce you, but for the old person who doesn't, Kirsty is an amazing photographer, who's famous for her like travel and street photography, and also beautiful desert pictures and all that sort of thing. And of course, your wonderful travels with your family, and everyone's jealous.
Yeah, your life.
Not at the moment. I'm a bit stuck at the moment.
Yeah, well, we are.
You've just got our life now, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
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 So we asked Kirsty to come over so we can talk about. Really, there's so much to talk about with Kirsty, obviously, but we wanted to focus on the travel and street photography that she does, and I don't think she shares. You don't share enough of it, really, Kirsty.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But let's kick off by kind of just talking about your background and how you got started in photography, briefly. I know it's probably a very long story.
Yeah, not massively long. I did art at school and I kind of wanted to carry it on, but got told, no, you'll never make any money doing that. So went off to university and did a degree and a master's and ended up in engineering and working in Hong Kong. And then I took photography at night school at the YMCA in Hong Kong. And I used to travel a lot around Asia with my job and, just for fun because I lived in Hong Kong. And yeah, that was where the love of travel photography started from. And then I got married and had a baby, and like we all do, you've suddenly got this cute baby, so then you start taking pictures of people instead. I was like, even when I did just travel photography, I would never take pictures of people. I was way too scared to approach people and ask if I could take their pictures and stuff. I was really quite like details and quirky things and a much more arty side rather than documentary side at that time. And then had the kids.
It does take quite a lot of confidence, doesn't it, to interrupt
it does.
to someone and just ask. I think you have to build.
Yeah, you really do. And for ages I was just rubbish at it, and now I'm like, I'll ask, and if they say no, I'm just like, yeah, fine, never mind, like, because it's not about me and my camera, is it? It's about them, and I don't want to make someone else feel uncomfortable, so I'm like, yeah, fine, move on. Yeah,
and what's
really interesting.
What's the worst that can happen is just that they say no, but it's still
exactly
like,
yeah
to do it.
Yeah, sometimes if it's someone really interesting and you think, oh, I'd really like a picture of them, like they look fascinating, and then they say no, it's a bit like, oh, but it's still better than if you didn't ask, isn't it? At least you might get a conversation or something, or find something else. So
there's always another opportunity further down the road, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
and you always sort of go on.
Do you always ask?
Mostly, yes. There's
just been some conversations recently in various Facebook groups about street photography and the ethics, and there are some photographers who kind of go like, I'm just going to take a picture no matter what and not care, you know, and that never quite sat well with me. But at the same time, as we said, like sometimes it's scary or it interrupts the moment that you want to photograph.
Yeah, I think
sometimes the moment more of a chaotic scene, you don't need to ask so much. It's
No.
From one person.
Yeah, if it's like a street scene or something, then I'm not going to. But if it's of a person, like say on a market stall or just in the street, I usually do ask. I think the reason why is like, so I had my first baby, we were living in China, and she's very little and blonde. And then the second one, we were living in the Middle East, and again, a little blonde kid sticks out. And I get people trying to take pictures of them all the time without asking me. So I've been on the receiving end of that, and I know how, like, when you're just going about your daily business, it's a bit uncomfortable, or it feels a bit sneaky when someone does that. So if I don't like it being done to me, I don't really want to do that to other people. It's, you know, it's just treat other people as you'd want to be treated yourself, sort of thing.
That's
so
really
yeah, like this picture here, I wouldn't necessarily ask. If one of them caught my eye, I might sort of signal to them, is this all right, you know? But generally something like that I wouldn't necessarily ask. But a closer up, more portrait, then I would do.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some, just going through Kirsty's. Like here, did you ask?
Yeah, so those people, we were actually doing like a dyeing and printing workshop on this farm there, and they were people that worked on the farm, so they were totally fine with it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but I also feel like you kind of like being a person who travels a lot, and you kind of almost embed yourself in the culture while you travel. And I know you stay with, like, you used to stay at least with people in different places. It feels it's almost better that way than someone kind of just parachuting themselves into a location for a week, grabbing lots of pictures and then going away.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people when they travel, they're like a day here and a day there. We're more like, you know, a week or so, and we'll often, when we were traveling in our van, we would camp on people's land, and so you get to know them a bit better. So obviously this lady, I asked her, and she just found it hilarious that I wanted her picture, you know, which is brilliant. She was so smiley. But some of the other ones are you know, less so. This guy, obviously, I asked. He was putting on his very serious face. I don't know did I send you the ones of him laughing? Because I spent ages trying to get him to laugh, because that was what I wanted. I didn't want this like serious warrior guy. I wanted to see the more human side of him. So I've got a couple, and he's got a real toothless grin, and he's so cute. But we stayed in this area, in these villages for a week, so we got to know people, and I think that really helps. It's like you're not exploiting them in the same way, you know.
Sure. And speaking of like staying in places, so we were wondering how did you, I know people watch you and go like I do, I want to do this, but it's not so easy in practice. So we were wondering if you can share about how your lifestyle developed. Have you, like, you obviously, you said you traveled a bit and for work and stuff, but have you traveled with the girls, and how did it, like, did you go straight into like 2 years on the road, or was it like
No, so like I said, Safi was born, we were living in China at the time, and I think if you have your first baby in a place like China, and we were in Guangzhou, which is like a city of, you know, 20 million people, but it's not quite like Shanghai or Beijing, and so we did travel an awful lot from there, and we would take her on overnight trains. We traveled around the country a lot with her when she was a baby. And then she was almost 2 when we moved to Abu Dhabi, and I was pregnant with Indy. And we between leaving China and moving to Abu Dhabi, we took a month off and we just backpacked bits of China that we hadn't seen over the 3 years that we'd been living there. So yeah, she's done that since being tiny. And then I had Indy, and pretty much the same again. We just took off and backpack, you know, like she took her first overnight train from Aleppo in the north of Syria down to Damascus, which is a train that you can't even take anymore, you know, and she was 5 months old. And yeah, we just did that. And I also think when you're living in a place that's not got the same level of facilities available to you, you just learn to wing it. I mean, and I always say this, like, I'm just winging it with the whole parenting thing and the whole traveling thing. You know, we didn't have a baby buggy because we lived in a place where there weren't even pavements, so you just wouldn't. And like, they were always in a carrier on my front, or when they got bigger, on my back. And yeah, so yeah, they've been traveling since they were teeny tiny.
And you've been taking pictures since they were teeny tiny as well, right? So
yeah, so obviously when they were really little, I wasn't very good at photography, or at least I wasn't very good at taking pictures of them. I did take a lot of travel photos, and so, but then as they grew up and they became a bit more interesting and they became a bit more inquisitive about the places that we were visiting, that's when I started documenting them in this more environmental way, where I really wanted to take pictures that showed where in the world we were and that showed what they were getting out of it and a bit of the story of the place. I didn't want it to be just pictures of my kids on holiday sort of thing. I wanted it to be a lot more environmental. Yeah, so things like this, where it really shows, you know, they're eating the samosas out of the newspaper, and the newspapers you know, got local writing on it, and then they've got all the henna on their arms. And you wouldn't necessarily know that, but we're on a station in India, but you get that feel that we're somewhere like that, even without it showing the whole of the station. And again, another detail where it's she's going into the temple and it's got those little offerings on the step, and then obviously she's still got a flip-flop on there. So anyone that knows anything about that would know that that's the very first doorway to the temple, because then you would take your shoes off to go actually into the temple. So yeah, I really like things that incorporate the environment and tell you a little bit of the story of where we are and what we're doing and how the kids are interacting with it. So yeah,
it's so wonderful as well, because when you look at your pictures, because it's such a colourful place, and you see so much trend for you know, subtle colours and greige and desaturating and things like that. It's just so lovely because everything's bright and colourful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's a place as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, like, and the colours just hit you in the face in India. I mean, you can't do anything about it. Like pictures like that last one, like it, you know, it's not a stellar picture, but what really speaks to me, this lady just found it so funny that she just put the basket onto Safi's head, and she was laughing so much, and she started having a fit of the giggles, and you can see the lady in the background laughing too, and then Safi's laughing at them, and it's just like shows the beauty of the interactions with complete strangers, and they couldn't speak any English, and we were in, like, this was in a state of India that the FCO actually tells you not to go to because they're like fighting tribes there.
Wow.
But we had no way, we had to drive through it, and oh my gosh, because they don't ever get tourists, they were just adorable and friendly, and it was such an enriching experience. And it just goes to show that sometimes you have to think beyond things. You can see from the pictures that they were just completely adorable, and what a sweet and enriching experience it was, and how funny it was. And we were all just in that moment of laughing. And
Do you speak any of the language when you're there, or can you speak?
We generally try and pick some up from most places that we go.
Because it's going to be changing all the time, isn't it? The dialect and the...
Yeah, in India it's really, really difficult because it varies from state to state. And English is the most widely spoken language.
Okay.
But this was a really remote place. This was in the same state as well. And this place was amazing. Oh my gosh. We were there in the end of January, and it's called the Mother's Market, and it's the largest female run market in the world. And when all the men were off like warring in their tribes, the women took it upon themselves to set up this market, you know, like 100 years ago. And it's got 4,000 stalls, and it's only run by women, and men are not allowed to rent a stall or own a stall there. And the women there were incredible. They were coming up to the girls, pinching their cheeks, kissing them, hugging them, dancing with them, singing with them. I've got such an incredible range of pictures. And every time we talk about the effects of COVID, we always say, oh, we're so glad we went to that market, because, you know, they won't come up and hug you anymore and stuff. And obviously, you know, I tell the girls to be careful about who's touching them and stuff. And if they're uncomfortable, to like tell people to back off and stuff. And I'm trying to teach my kids boundaries. But this was so much in this amazingly friendly spirit and colour and joy, and like I say, singing and dancing. And once one started up, then another one would come, and then they'd try and lift up my hands to get me dancing and stuff. And this one I included not because it's a particularly good photo, but because this is just so typical of the experiences that I want, like, the kids to have and us to have, and that I want to share. That everywhere you go, people are friendly. And, you know, my kids are 12 and 14. They won't smile unless they're actually, you know, do you know what I mean? They're not going to do just what mum tells them to do. But this kind of thing happens all the time. And for me, those people interactions are what's so incredibly special about traveling. And I really strongly feel like it's one of the privileges of travel to share with people just like how many similarities there are between us all, and you know, how interested other people are in us and how interested we are in them, and just those stories of connection. That's the stuff that really, you know, I love to document.
Do the girls miss being on the road?
They miss India a lot. They really want to go back. I'm not sure that they miss being in a camper van and all squished up together. I mean, I think they'd happily go and do it for a couple of weeks again, but I'm not, if we said, well, we're going off for a year or two again, I'm not sure how happy they'd be about it.
How long were you actually on the road for with the camper van? Cut short by COVID.
Yeah, this time it was 9 months. But we went before for a year, and then we went another time for 3 months. And and then we've done other, you know, completely random travels, like the summer that we took the train from Hong Kong to Manchester, as you do, you know. So yeah, like that was like a summer on the road, but it was actually on the rails, you know.
So we wanted also to ask you about when I know many people are kind of obviously been thrown into a situation of homeschooling. You've also been world schooling for a long time. You're not doing it right now, but if you could share any experiences of how actually, and I know we had this chat on my Instagram during lockdown about world schooling, but if you can impart any insight that you've gathered over the time that you traveled with the girls and kind of had them educated without school, that would be great.
Well, I mean, since they were tiny, they've had various different schooling experiences. Like they've been to an actual school. They went to quite a sort of left-ish school in Abu Dhabi where there was chickens running around and everyone was in bare feet and stuff. They've been to school in the jungle in India where the classrooms didn't have roofs and they were just outside climbing trees and stuff. But then they have also done learning at home where they pick their own interests to follow, and sometimes they've followed a particular program and other times they've just followed their own interests and gone down that rabbit hole to see where that takes them. So yeah, they've had a massive variety, and I've always felt like our job is just to guide them. I'm not a teacher. I'm mum. Like the thought of teaching them is truly terrifying to me. We've done the, you know, buying the books on Amazon and throwing them at them and saying work your way through that, and that's worked, you know, for maths and stuff like that. But mostly I think they learn best when they're just following what they're genuinely interested in. So yeah, like Safi's now dropped all sciences because she's just not interested, and she's lucky that they're doing online schooling at the moment with the school, and the school was very in favour of them picking subjects that they were interested in and had the flexibility to let them do that. So that kind of aligns with our sort of ethos in it being child-led and child interest-led, which is good, because yeah, ultimately you want your kids to find their own interests, don't you? You know, and when they're
it's that flexible. I'd love that, because I remember when my son was doing his GCSEs, and they had, well, I think it's fairly national, but in their school they have to choose a language, and he hated it. So many of the other ones, they, you know, it wasn't something they were ever going to do well. He was ever going to do well in. But he was just he'd have been better off choosing a different subject, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
One of the choices, it just seemed like such a waste, because in the end he didn't even.
It's a bit of a tick box exercise sometimes, isn't it? You know, well, they've got to take this number of subjects. I mean, we're quite lucky that she's been able to take subjects that she's interested in and drop subjects that she's not interested in. So it kind of follows on from what she's been studying. I mean, if they said she had to take a science, she would have failed for sure, because she's just got no interest in it, and she's not really ever done it, because in fairness, since she's been like the equivalent of secondary school age, she's never been to a school that's even had a science. Oh, she did one term at a school that had a science lab, but since then she's, you know, been like doing science at the river in the jungle, you know. So she's learned stuff that she's probably completely unaware of, but it's not but it's stuff that will hopefully help her in life, but it's not going to help her pass a GCSE, you know. So
but their experiences are so amazing and, you know, incomparable, that you get more from that, way more from that than you do from sitting in a classroom. Really, you know, it's just incredible.
I hope so. I mean, they might still need therapy, and because they've not had a very stable life and they've been dragged around the world by the hair, you know. I don't know. Like I say, we're all just winging it at parenting, aren't we?
Yeah, totally.
You know, and sometimes you do what fits in with the environment where you are and the resources that you've got available to you. And sometimes the best thing is the school down the street, like I went to, because all the kids in my street went to that school and we were all friends. And if someone had said to me, do you want to go to a different school, or do you want to go and to a different country, I would have been like, no, I want to be where my friends are, you know. So it depends on where you are and yeah, what you've got available and stuff, and the kind of kids that you've got. Like, you know, there were times where we were a bit like, we're going to need to settle down because they need some stability, and yeah, well, that was the plan for this summer, but then COVID happened, you know. And now we're still stuck in England, and the kids are going to school in India until we can go back to India. So,
So mental.
my poor children.
So I think we were talking before we went live that they currently they're getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. That they're on India time.
Yes, yeah. So they
to do their lessons. So at the moment you're approaching bedtime.
Yeah.
Time or something, aren't you?
Yeah, so they both chose that they wanted to go back to a proper school with friends and stuff. So we re-enrolled them in school in India, and then we've not been able to get back to India because of COVID. So they're doing it online in real time, in India time, which means they're getting up at 2 a.m. But they're doing amazingly. They really are.
And does explain photos like the one you put up the other day when you were trying to take pictures of the night sky, where so that's actually your morning now. It makes me feel less like pathetic that we're not getting up at the crack of dawn to go and climb a mountain.
Yeah, I've never been a sunrise person. I've always been a sunset person, and suddenly I get the sunrise every day. I mean, apart from when it's raining in Yorkshire,
In the UK, I think the sunrise is actually often better.
We had some beautiful ones when we first got here. It was incredible.
I'm not a morning person, but when I do get up, it's lovely in the morning, and then the sun rises above the clouds, and then it's grey for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's so funny. I remember in the summer when we had this comet passing by nearwise, I really tried to drag my Sasha with me, and that meant kind of being out at midnight trying to take pictures. And he loves like going places when he's like finding it out of the house. Like the dragging thing is tricky, but once we're out, we're good. But even that, he was like, "Come on, why are we doing this? This is not interesting."
We were trying to see.
Yeah.
I've seen it now once. Why do we keep trying?
We did a bit of neo-wise chasing as well. And then, initially, we were trying to see it out of the back of our garden because it's facing the right way. And I've got the tracker and stuff on my phone. And we went outside. It's like, oh, excellent! We've got a really good view because there were no houses behind us. They're building an estate behind us, but at the time there was no houses. Excellent! This is going to be a really good view right from our garden. Comet. This is in our neighbour's garden. They've got this massive poplar tree. That's where Neo-wise was behind.
No.
Literally, the whole sky. But Neo-wise was behind the tree.
Yeah.
We had to go somewhere else.
That was really tricky. But speaking of, are we ready for our surprise guest or not?
We are. She's just appeared.
You finished lessons.
Yay!
Yeah. Let me just plug her headphones in. And here we go.
Hi, Indy.
Hi.
Can you hear them okay?
Yeah.
You know Antonina, but I haven't met you before. I'm Emma. Hello.
Yeah, well,
Hi.
you probably don't remember me anyway. It's been ages ago.
Antonina.
Yeah, she's doubled in size since she saw you, Antonina. I think you were 6, weren't you?
Was
When
it
we were in St.
16 or
Petersburg.
15 or something? I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
7.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 or 7, maybe. Yeah.
So I crossed wires with Kirsty and her family in Russia once, randomly.
Yeah.
So we asked Indy to come over because she is, like her mum, is an amazing travel photographer. And you won.
Another thing that's changed from when you met her before at age 6. She's
Yes.
gained a lifetime's experience.
Exactly. And you won Young Travel Photographer of the Year, right? Didn't you?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. We're going to show some of your pictures, but we wanted to ask you, like, how did you get into it? How did you start taking pictures? What
Were you initially inspired because your mum takes a lot of pictures, or was it just something you're interested in anyway?
I think that I was initially inspired because my mum took pictures, so she went on like lots of photo things and like photo walks, and I usually came along with her. So then for one of them, she let me borrow her camera, and then I kind of like kept it, and then as we travelled, I got more into photography.
Does your sister do any at all, or is it just you who likes it?
She doesn't really do any.
Yeah, that makes us all feel better that our kids are not doing it.
Yeah, she's got no interest. Yeah.
So, has your mum taught you how to use a camera, or have you just picked it up yourself?
She taught me like all of the basics, all the editing, all of the styles and everything.
Oh,
But I think quite a lot of it, the camera that she stole from me was Fuji, and with that, because it's got the digital viewfinder, I think it was actually quite responsive for a child to figure stuff out. So it was a really good, very expensive first camera, but a really good one for learning on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's amazing about digital anyway, that you get really quick feedback, but when it's mirrorless, it's even more obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's great.
And how do you find, like, what do you look out for? What do you find interesting to photograph? Is it people or just anything?
I love meeting people, seeing new places, all of that stuff, and love the culture. I also love like wildlife and the environment, but that's really hard to photograph as I've not got a really long lens and I can't hold up a really long lens.
Yeah,
so it's
really heavy.
Yeah, so it's usually just whatever's around me.
So what lens do you have right now on your camera?
I think it's 2485.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it zooms slightly further than mine because I shoot with a 24-70.
Yeah.
So do you have you been taking as many pictures whilst you've been in the UK, or do you miss photographing all of the different cultures in India?
I really miss photographing like all the buzz of India and everything, but I have been like trying to find new things to take photos of, such as like more flowers, more landscapes, but I've definitely not been photographing quite as much as I might when I was in India.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a couple of years ago that I stumbled upon some of your pictures in Muesli Gardens as well.
That was the grasshopper one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Garden Photographer of the Year or something like that as well.
Yeah.
How many awards have you already won, Indy? So you're 12 at the moment.
Yeah, I think I might have won like 5.
She's won quite a lot of money through her photography as well. Yeah, she funds her own hobby now.
That's brilliant. So are you saving up for a longer lens, do you think, so you can take some wildlife photos?
Maybe not quite yet, because I'm not sure that I would be able to carry it and put it to the use. But yeah.
You need to do some bodybuilding before then, some press ups or something.
Yeah.
Get strong. That's
do you find it? I'm wondering, do you find it like as a child easier to just photograph people because maybe like people don't realize that you take amazing photographs?
I feel like sometimes people are a bit friendlier, as like they may be a bit less intimidated by me, and also it's easier for me to like maybe crouch down or fit in at the side. And say at festivals, people are more likely to usher me to the front and get me involved than say if I was older.
Yeah. And do you, like we were just asking your mum, do you ask people permission if it's more of a portrait rather than do you go up and ask people?
If it's a portrait, I'll go and ask them because it's about them. If it's just a street scene that with like lots of people, then I won't ask.
Yeah.
So like something like this, you probably would just take a picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so has your mum taught you anything about composition, or have you just got a natural instinct for that?
I think he's taught me quite a bit and helped me work on it.
Yeah. It's fabulous.
Cool.
And do you,
what is the dream? What is the what would you like to do? I know it's a question that you probably don't answer. What would you like to do when you grow up? That's not where I was going.
Is it going to be photography related? Because you're so good.
Yeah, I think it probably will be like sort of related to activism through photography and that sort of area.
Wow.
Have you had any? Have you done anything like that yet? Any work that's for activism that you've?
I did like a school project where I sold some postcards and magnets with about plastic pollution that I had taken pictures for.
Right, so that's very cool.
Picture.
These are cool. Is this recent, or is it just like you wear the mask all the time?
This was Nepal, so it was kind of at the start of COVID, but the mask isn't related to COVID. It was just because of the pollution.
Yeah. Okay.
And do you enjoy doing the editing process as well?
I mean, sometimes I enjoy it, but mostly I find it like my least favorite part, as it's just really time consuming.
I agree. And you have to sit in front of a computer, don't you, rather than being out and about doing fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And culling, that's my other thing that I really hate doing, culling pictures.
That's people saying in the comments, saying they're so impressed. And Mercy's asking, how old are you?
I'm 12.
It's amazing, Indy. It's quite a talent that you've managed to foster as well.
So do you do anything with your mom? Like, do you go like take pictures together? Well, obviously when you're traveling, but like especially.
So sometimes when we're traveling, we'll go like out early morning together, or like go on just go out and about together, sometimes without Safi and my Baba, as like they aren't as interested.
Just being polite. So do you look, when you go out together, do you find you're interested in the same things or different things? Are you looking for different things to your mum? Or, well, that's a question.
I feel like well, like sometimes we come out with similar photos, but sometimes like we'll take the same photo but have like a different approach on it.
That must be really interesting to see how you see the scene differently.
Yeah, it is sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, oh, I took one like that, but I didn't consider it from that angle, and Indy will have maybe crouched down, or she'll have climbed up on something, or I lose her quite often in markets and stuff, which can be a bit worrying. I'll turn around and I'll be like, where's she gone? And she'll be like crouched down at someone's feet shooting through something. Won't you?
Yeah.
And you do freak me out every now and then with it.
Tracker.
So often we'll be like back to back shooting different directions and different things, so that we are getting different stuff, aren't we?
Do you ever Kirsty, do you ever see a picture and think, oh, I wish I took that one?
Well, yeah, like, so the very first one that was shown then of the Tibetan monks, so that was like the first picture that Indy won a competition with, and she was like 9. And this was with my Fuji, and it had a silent shutter. So she literally held it at her waist and pushed it and took this. And, you know, a bit of a lucky shot, but partly just, you know, knowing what you're looking for.
Because of the eye contact with that monk, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, so she got that, and I was like, oh, well, she took one, so I'm going to take one. But of course, I don't have I don't have the silent shutter, and I had to raise mine to my face. Well, by the time I'd done that and taken it, the guy was scowling at me. So my photo was awful and hers was awesome, you know. So she can be a bit sneakier with things than I can.
Yeah. I think people take a bit more pity on a child as well, don't they? Not like
people, they're less likely to shout at her for taking something. And you know, like she said, she can get in places. So I don't think we sent you any, but in Varanasi they have this ceremony down by the river where they have flames coming up and everything, and because she was so little, people were just pushing her to the front, so she got all these great pictures of it all, and that's really, really cool. But then I'm kind of, you know, part of what I do is capturing my kids in these environments. So I was like a few people back, and I was getting Indy in the smoke with her camera up and stuff, which is like that's part of the enjoyment for me as well. So it kind of works for both of us.
It must be quite nice having both. It's a bit like, you know, weird comparison, but like at a wedding you often have two shooters because they're at different places, and you've got that just in your family, haven't you? Two different perspectives of everything that you do, which is really cool.
It
means you can get in the picture sometimes as well. You can take pictures
sometimes,
or actually that's one of the things, isn't it? When you're the photo taker, you don't exist in those.
No, she's quite good at saying to me, you go over there and just walk over there and don't take any notice of me, and then I find she's taken some photos.
Nice.
So she's like that, aren't you?
Do you take many of your family, or do you tend to prefer taking pictures of the pure travel photography, where you're taking pictures of the culture and what's happening?
I prefer to take pictures like travel photography, less of my family.
She knows that I've got that side covered nicely. You can focus on other stuff, can't you?
Yeah.
Do you get anyone like look and critique your photographs apart from mum, I guess?
Well, so mainly my mum looks and critiques. I don't think that anyone else really does.
How old
were you? You have met a few like famous photographers who've given you some tips along the way and stuff, haven't you?
So. Who have you met, Indy?
When I won my first competition, I got to meet Paul Nicklin and Christina Mittermeier, which was really cool.
That's very cool. So was that a prize giving, like a ceremony that you went to?
It was the Exposure Photography Festival, so they were teaching there.
That's incredible. Amazing. When you first picked it on that photo walk where you stole your mum's camera, how old were you when you did that?
I think I was I 8 or 9?
Probably 8 or 9, yeah.
And that monk picture was only when you were 9, so you'd literally only just been taking pictures for a year or so. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then I think the grasshopper one that Antonina, so that was the year after that when you were 10. Yeah.
Incredible. I think we're going to see you on the front of National Geographic one day. We'll all be just as proud as you, Kirsty, because we'll all be like, oh, we knew her.
Yeah.
We've watched her progress.
Yeah. That would be very cool, wouldn't it?
Well, thank you so much, Indy.
You must be tired now because you've been up since you finished school, have you? And been up since 2. It's time to chill out now.
Yeah.
She's got dance class coming up in a little while, 45 minutes. So, yeah. Out of school activities by Zoom as well.
How have you found dance classes at this time of day, or are they from India as well?
They're from Abu Dhabi, from her old dance school that she was with there.
Classes are all like at 5 o'clock in the evening. So,
well, that was the problem. I couldn't sign her up for in-person ones in England because she would have been falling asleep. So yeah, she's doing them online from her old dance school in Abu Dhabi. So
we're all back online anyway at the moment.
Yeah,
dancing in this house as well.
Yeah.
I
was actually going to ask you, Kirsty, while we have Indy here, like kind of related topic is, you know, when you sort of traveling with kids, you have responsibilities as a mother.
Yeah.
This, like, need, like this visceral, I guess, need to create and take pictures, right? If you're anything like us. How do you balance that? How do you like go, I need to be a mom, but also I am a photographer. That's what I need to do. That's who I am.
It's really hard sometimes. Yeah, like especially if we're somewhere that's really interesting, I can be a little bit absent-minded, and often the taking the photos will come before remembering to feed my children and stuff like that. Because I am that person that I will keep following round corners to see where the next interesting thing is. Like we've joked before that if the kids ever wrote a book about their childhood, it would be like you know, following the sounds of a drum, because that's where mums, or if I hear drums or music, I'm like, where's that coming from? And I do become a little bit absent-minded about everything else, and then it'll suddenly be nighttime and I'll be like, oh, we're in a strange part of the city and I don't know how to get back. And yeah.
You don't usually forget to eat, because Safi always wants to eat, and there's always cool street food.
Well, yeah, we have to eat a lot of street food because I don't always find time to sit down and
last minute it's like, oh,
eat properly. Yeah. It's all part of the experience though, right? Yeah, I'm not a bad mom, honestly.
We're the same.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question to Indy, actually? So, apart from your mum, who are your big photography inspirations? Who inspires you?
So, Paul Nicklin, Christina Mittermeier, Amy Vitali, and Marcel Van Oosten are probably some of my biggest.
And do you do you follow them and look how they're taking photographs and what they're taking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
and learn from looking at what they're doing.
Yeah.
What about Vinny?
Yeah. And an Indian photographer, like he has really interesting perspectives. Vinny Bahara, and like looking at his work inspires me on like to look at when I see this, could I make this look like a really funny photo, or how could I make this be really interesting?
He managed, I don't know how, his work's incredible, but he really brings humour. Somehow, it's amazing. He's just got such an unusual perspective.
We were in like some little back street one day, and I said to her, what are you doing? And she said, I'm just lining up that man so he looks like he's sitting on the cow. It's like a Viennese style. And I was like, okay, sweetie, yeah. And we walked into the Lakers store in Delhi, didn't we? And he had an exhibition on, and we didn't realise. And we walked in, and Indy was like, I know these pictures, and he recognised them straight away. Yeah, he's like
brilliant, like with big pictures rather than just seeing them on a screen.
Yeah, I think when we walked in, there was one that was it's a cow, and then it's got these sticks coming out of his head, a tree coming out that's like looks like it's horns, and it's like you're just like, how did you get that?
How does he even think of that when he's
I don't know.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, like studying his work is, you know, in somewhere that like India where it's so multi-layered anyway, and then you think that those split seconds, and does he set it up or not? But I don't think he does. It seems so realistic.
They're really based, like sort of decisive moment things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Hey, how did you get that? It's incredible.
Yeah.
We actually had a question earlier about how and I guess it's both for both of you, how your travels and your travel photography in India and Nepal and all those areas you've been to in the Middle East impacted your style in general, and like now that you are in the UK, do you think it affects it, like all your experiences on the road or not?
Do you find it as interesting photographing in the UK, or like, because obviously I'm always in the UK and it's like, oh, and I see these pictures of India, I'm like, oh, I want to go to India, I want to go to those. Or because you're not normally here, is there still a level of interest just because it's a bit different?
I feel like it's interesting in a different way. It was certainly like really interesting and exciting when I got out here. Now that it's getting like, we've been here quite a few months, going on the same walks can get boring, but like there still is interesting stuff.
How many times have you dragged up the same mountain?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame because when we went to London for the weekend to see the Travel Photographer of the Year exhibition, it rained all weekend, and we just and I'd been saying to Indy, there was a picture in that exhibition that was one of the winners, and it was of some people outside a tube station, and I was like, see, you can get interesting pictures in England, look, and then we like literally got next to nothing because it just rained
and
non-stop.
it was like not just rain, it was like just pouring down, wasn't it?
It was like the wettest October day on record or something stupid. It was insane because we were supposed to meet up, weren't we, and it was just raining so much that we just decided to that's not happening.
Can't just duck into anywhere anymore. Well,
and with all the silly regulations and stuff, it was like you can't just meet in a park and sit and hang out and chat, and it was rubbish.
I guess casings and then just photograph. I don't
So you're getting used to different weather conditions, photographing in different weather conditions, and how to cope with that.
Yeah, we've not had a lot of sunny days recently to get good landscape photography either.
So how do you stay creative now? Obviously, that's it's different. It was new to you in the first month. Maybe I remember you kind of saying blue skies.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
I've not seen one for a while.
Yeah.
But how do you stay creative now that, it's kind of the same thing over and over again, and we all can relate to that, with lockdown.
And it's dark now as well, because obviously it's winter, we're getting like less daylight hours.
Yeah. So how do you keep yourself creative and quite
for me, it's looking at things differently and continuing to look at things differently and looking for the different lights. So having variable seasons has actually been quite good, because like in the UAE, it's hot and sunny all year round. So you don't get that variety. So that's been quite nice about England and seeing the colours change and everything. But in terms of the environment, it has got to a point where I'm not really seeing things as differently anymore. I'm definitely craving getting out and about a bit more and seeing different things. So in the summer, my sister-in-law was moving house, and the house that she was moving from was empty, so we went and stayed there for 3 weeks, and that was like, wow, different walls, different light coming in through different windows, different mirrors. And she had the greenhouse that then appeared in quite a lot of pictures, because it was just something different. And so it gave me that breath of new creative life to have that different environment.
We've all had a bit of a boring time. It's all been restricted for everyone, but I think particularly for you, where you're used to moving around so much, you must really have itchy feet now.
Yes, I have.
Really itchy.
Definitely. So, I mean, other things are just, playing with motion in pictures or double exposures, or As the kids have grown up, I do photograph them a bit differently now. Do you have any ideas about what you've been doing that's different?
Like I've not done this for a while, but we tried freelancing a bit closer to the start.
Yeah.
Which is really hard, but it was something different. And then
because you quite enjoy, like we saw in a couple of Indy's pictures, getting motion in pictures, which when the only things that are moving are the squirrels and the ducks, it's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah, that's true. No, you're really, really good at capturing motion. Indy.
Yeah.
That bike picture at the end is just phenomenal.
Yeah, so for me, like I think also the kids are at an age where they're perhaps a bit more aware of what I'm posting of them, and so it's different when your kids are toddlers. You just capture them running around, and it is very much more documentary. I think when they're getting to this age, sometimes you're a bit more intentional because you've actually got to get their consent to take their pictures a bit more. So like I've done some free lensed ones and some double exposures of Indy where she has just like sat and posed for me, which is not something that I really did so much before. You know, I always encourage the kids to do things. I'll be like, can you go and walk through that doorway, or can you just run over that sand dune, or whatever. You know, I like when they were younger, but it was much more documentary, but I was often encouraging them to do those things. Whereas now it has become sometimes very much more intentional, and therefore I've got more typical portraits in amongst just documenting our life. So
are both girls as keen to collaborate as each other, or is Indy more into it than Safi, or Safi more into it than Indy more into it because she's into photography anyway? Or are they both okay with you taking pictures still? Because
they're both not too bad.
My son never appears on my he won't let me take pictures of him. So it's like, he's not there.
It's more likely to be Indy on my Instagram feed, just because she's with me when I've got my camera more. And Safi's never been as into having pictures taken, but I did do a project the year that she was 12 with her where I got a lot of pictures, and that was actually a really nice collaboration between the two of us. And then she wrote poems to go with the pictures, and we made it into a book. So
she's a good writer, isn't she? So you've got these super talented daughters. Did she win a poem?
She did win a poetry competition. I know. I made myself sound like such a tiger mum, like I push my kids to enter all these competitions. I'm totally not. I'm like, but yeah.
Amazing. I remember reading it. It was in the summer sometime. It was this year, wasn't it? And I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was an environmental thing.
Anyone who hasn't read it, go and hunt it out. It's on your feed somewhere, isn't it? Or you could.
Shall we let you go and you can go and have your dinner before your dance class? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'll just take her headphones out. Okay.
She's so sweet.
It's really inspiring, actually.
So
it was so lovely that you said you wanted to speak to her, because like she loves talking about photography, and you know she's not really got anyone to talk to other than me, so it was really nice for her to get to talk about, you know, some of her inspirations.
You have to find other photographers just so you can talk about it, because it's so boring for everyone else, isn't it?
I know, no one else wants to hear about it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
We can view her again next year.
Excuse me. Get Safi's poem and post it on the thread, because it's really lovely.
Yeah, I'll find that.
Spoken about it. You should copy it in so that people can read it.
One question we didn't ask, actually, and I know many people will be interested. And by the way, we sort of coming to, and I think you have to go around 12, right, Kirsty, with the dance and things. But if anyone has any,
she just might get really noisy above my head if we're still going at 12. That's all. But you know, I've got the headphones in, so it might not affect if we're still going.
Questions, please just pop them in under the video, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on that. But I know many people would be interested to hear like about your setup when you're traveling, and how do you like manage to edit the pictures, and because you kind of, as you travel, you typically kind of share along the way. How do you like, what's your setup, what's your workflow when you're traveling? And also, I guess another thing that will lead on from there is like, how do you work on the road, like actually work?
Yeah, like make money.
Yes.
Fund the travel.
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of, yeah, like my setup, I shoot with a Nikon D700, which is a very old camera, but I know what I'm doing instinctively, and I don't care if I batter it, and I buy them secondhand when they've got very few. I'm going to have to upgrade at some point, but I'm just not thinking about that. Before we went on the last set of travels, I did consider whether I would needed to upgrade my gear, but upgrading the camera would have probably meant going to the Nikon mirrorless, which would have meant new lenses as well, or using the adapter, would have meant new memory cards, it would have meant new batteries, new charger, I would have probably had to upgrade my laptop as well because of the file sizes. So it would have been a really expensive exercise to upgrade. So instead of doing that, before we went on that last set of travels, about a year before, I bought my most recent second-hand D700. So, you know, like, it's not really about having the latest equipment or anything. That's a camera that's, I think it came out in 2009, the D700. And the same with my lenses, I always buy secondhand. And the reason that I do that is because I was 10 years in Abu Dhabi, and it's sandy and it's dusty, and your gear just gets full of just nasty grot. And I always wanted to have two setups of the same thing, so that if I have had it where I got sand in some of the dials on the back of my camera in a shoot, and everything I just couldn't do anything. So having the exact same setup and buying it all secondhand means I can afford to have two of the exact same setup.
Yeah.
It just meant I could just swap in and out. All the color tones are exactly the same. I found on every other Nikon that I've had, the color tones have been slightly different to the D700. So like, if I do have a 750, which I use for video, but I can always tell which pictures I've taken because they've got a slightly more magenta feel, and no amount of tweaking seems to be able to get rid of that in camera. Obviously I can do that in post. But with my D700s, I could shoot off any of the four that I've owned and put the card in and bring pictures up in laptop in, and I wouldn't be able to tell which of the four cameras it was because they're all just spot on identical. So that consistency speeds everything up for me. I know exactly how I'm shooting. I've always got my settings tweaked in camera as well. The contrast up very slightly and the sharpness up very slightly. Just the sharpness because it's an old camera, and it just helps it a little bit. Yeah, and so then I also have I pretty much always shoot with the 24-70 2.8, just because it gives me a lot of versatility. When I first started shooting the kids, I went through that arty phase with the 50 1.4, thinking it was really cool, and all the bokeh, whatever, but then it just wasn't giving me the versatility that I wanted, especially with clients. And I love with the 24-70, you can isolate, but you can have the whole scene. It's just a really, really versatile lens, and it just works for what I want to do. And especially for travel, you can take the whole scene with the person and the portrait, and then you can zoom in on like the detail of their hands or their feet or whatever they're selling, or you know, you can, it makes it very quick and easy to swap from one thing to another to capture all the things that you want to tell as part of the overall story. So that's my camera setup, and then I just have a MacBook, and I edit on that. I only edit in Photoshop. I don't have a clue what I'm doing with Lightroom.
Really? So you do? Oh gosh.
Very old school.
Yeah, and I just have one action that I've kind of tweaked over the last 10 years, and I run that, and it has a number of layers for like darkening, lightening, a bit of warmth, a bit of brightening. I tweak them up and down. Honestly, if I spend 2 minutes on a picture, it's too much. I'm done. You know, I've.
So do you, in terms of culling this, so do you put your all pictures through, or do you cull and then decide which ones you're going to run the action on, or do you just run the action on everything and then
I cull and I choose which ones I'm going to edit. So you know, it's probably like 1 in 3 that I edit. Yeah,
JPEG as
and
well.
then
You still shoot JPEG?
And I shoot only JPEG as well. I'm like such a fake photographer. I told you I'm just winging it.
But no, like it just means that you're getting it right in camera.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, yeah, like it I don't know. I tried shooting raw, and it was just like another step in my process. And I'd got 2 babies hanging off me at that stage when I was learning all that stuff, and I just hadn't got the time for that.
Yeah.
So,
do you ever do? You do black and white sometimes, don't you?
yeah, I do. Yeah.
So that obviously does require some editing. So do you just convert the JPEG to black and white?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I just do a bit of brightness, or you know, lightening, darkening. Again, I've got like 1 black and white action, and I use it on pretty much everything. But you know, different lighting scenarios, you do tweak the action in different ways. Yeah, that's it. I'm pretty simple, really.
I don't know how to use Photoshop for editing at all.
Yeah. I still have some.
That blows my mind that you're
Maybe we need to get together, Emma. You can show me Lightroom, and I'll show you Photoshop.
It sounds so complicated. I've never used it for it. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. No, I used to.
No. I'm like, I'm so fast with it. I just, if you know, if it takes me more than 2 minutes to edit a picture, then it was a rubbish picture, and what am I doing? You know. I'd rather be out there chatting to the people in the market than sitting on a laptop dealing with having made a rubbish picture of them, you know. So I'll chat away, and I'll try and get it right in camera, and then you know, it's just run 1 action, do the little tweaks, done. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, and the reason that I shoot JPEG, I mean, obviously it is an extra stage if you're doing it through Photoshop, but also just for traveling, the files are so much bigger if you shoot raw, and I do take a lot because we travel a lot, and you know, that's more to carry. It's more hard drives, it's more backup disks, it's more time backing up to the cloud whenever you've got good enough Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that makes total sense on a practical level.
Yeah.
Because raw is just massive, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, if you know what to do, like if you can get it right in camera, I guess the lesson for those of us who are not traveling, you can. And I know some photographers that kind of do that, where they back up in RAW just in case there's that one picture that you need to really need to save. But most of the images are in JPEG, and I think especially when you sort of take a documentary approach, you kind of want the colors to be real, like, so you don't really need to tweak it as much as, you know, someone who's more fine art or who puts lots of filters.
Yeah.
So that is like a really good exercise, but also you can try it, I guess, but just back up on another card and if you really need
Yeah.
to use them. I actually need to try because my hard drive, I just recently installed like a double the size hard drive on my laptop. And now I thought, oh, there's plenty of space. Yeah, I kind of keep current stuff on the computer and then back up and move it off after I'm done with the shoot. But it's filled up now already. So I really need to think about JPEG.
Yeah. I just use don't put anything on my computer anymore because it just seems to block it up and can't function. So I'd work off hard drives now.
I work mostly off a hard drive, but then I back it up frequently.
I like sitting in bed with my computer and looking at pictures and culling, so I like to have it on the computer. Can we talk about how you work? Because you've had different setups when you're traveling, where you stay in another country. Like, how do you keep your business running, and what different strands of your photography business you have?
Yeah. Okay. So I had a photography business in Abu Dhabi for 10 years where I shot lifestyle for clients. So it was either in home or out and about. I did an awful lot in.
So when you were in China working as an engineer.
Yes.
And then you moved to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And you were there intermittently traveling for 10 years. And
yes.
Did you ever work as an engineer there, or did you set up the photography business straight away when you were there?
No, I knew that I wanted to give the photography a go when I moved there. So when we were in China, I was freelancing. So I started doing some photography while we were there. And then I was pregnant with Indy, and I had her, and she, I'd started taking a few clients in China. So that was back in 2007, and then she was born in 2008. And so that summer, I started work really in Abu Dhabi, and I was actually really, really lucky because at that time, especially within like the expat market, there was only people with studios, and no one was doing anything where they went to people's homes, or they went to the parks, or they went to the beach, or any of that kind of thing. So I was kind of like the first one to do that in Abu Dhabi, which was a really fortunate position to be in. I mean, there's loads now, as there are everywhere. But yeah, and then I was like the first one to go out to the desert. And I love the desert. I mean, I completely love it. But during like the winter season, where I was going out with 2 or 3 families a week, it just felt like it was a studio. You know, it was like one family in, one family out, one family in, walk across the dunes. It became really very repetitive for me, and I'd be really glad when it got too hot and I'd have to say no more desert sessions. Yeah. But I love them. I mean, it's such a stunning setting, and I totally get why people wanted them. But so then we moved, and then we traveled a lot, and so then I started doing a bit more stock and a bit more teaching work. I went to the States and taught at the Clicking Mums Click Away conference. That was in 2014. And then after that, I wrote a breakout for them. And then from that, a bit more teaching work came my way, and mentoring work. And then at the photography conference that Indy had the winning picture, I was teaching at that. And I chatted to the people at Nikon and told them that you've not got enough women in your lineup, and that's rubbish. And then they asked me to come and teach for them. So I did quite a bit for Nikon for a while. And we moved to India during that time. And I would fly backwards and forwards to Abu Dhabi like every 3 months and still see sort of 4 or 5 clients in a weekend. And I was still doing teaching for Nikon during that time as well. So that all worked quite well to sustain us in India. And submitting stock was still ongoing during that time. And then when we went traveling this last year, I probably would have kept doing some mentoring and a bit of stock, but then I got sick and couldn't do anything. But it was fine. And then since we've been here, it's just been stock and mentoring and a few shoots, but you know, COVID, so no one can do that many. And also I'm in a new market, and so to be fair, most of the families that I've done shoots for since I've been in the UK have been old Abu Dhabi clients who had moved back here, or happen to be here, so which is a really, really nice position to be in. You know, I'm incredibly lucky to have had 10 years of having a fairly good business, with clients who've ended up going all over the world. And I have shot past Abu Dhabi clients in all sorts of random places, you know, from New York, Shanghai, Germany, all over the place. So that's actually been really lovely. So
that's really cool.
And that's it. And I ran a few workshops in India as well. And I did some shoots there as well. So
So you get creative. I guess with stock photography, because it's such a it's a changing model, I guess. And I've heard like complaints that stock photography isn't what it used to be, where like people would earn tens of thousands a year with stock photography, but it's not like that anymore. But I guess it comes to selecting the libraries that you work with.
It's not the same as it used to be. I've probably made the same in the last 4 years as I made in my first year. So income's way down compared to when I first started it, which I'm surprised at. I kind of thought, sorry,
you've got a really a more unique set of photos to put on stock as well, because you've got all of the travel angle, you know. So you've actually got
and we travel to like weird countries as well.
You know? And so imagine if you've, you know, just got a normal lifestyle that so many people into stock now for that sort of thing. It's really difficult to make any income out of it.
I thought the stock would do quite well this year, because I thought, you know, like companies wouldn't be able to go out and shoot their own advertising campaigns and stuff like that, and they would turn to stock. But there's so many cheap stock agencies now, and I'm with Offset and Stocksy, who both of which are at a higher price point. So like it's not amazing.
It's interesting because I'm sure you've seen this whole saga about last year our government did the campaign where they took a picture of of a free stock website. Have you seen that whole thing?
The ballerina one?
The ballerina one. So
ballerina one. Oh gosh, So
if they're taking pictures of free stock websites,
I know, seriously,
should know better. But it's unfortunately, and I kind of like keep thinking, oh, maybe I should do stock, because I do have like travel pictures, but mine obviously are not as good as yours, and there's no people in them usually. It's just landscape. So it's not as
it's, and you know, when I first was with stock agencies, you just sent them your pictures and they did all the work for you, and they keyworded them because they had that expertise. But it's become now much more the photographer's responsibility, so it's time consuming for the returns these days, to be honest.
And so in terms of travel photography, when you submit to stock, you have to have location and model release, don't you? So how do you deal with that when you've got people in the photographs?
If it's got random strangers in street scenes, I usually submit them to be editorial, not commercial. I don't, so say for example the more portrait pictures, like the headhunter guy and the lady in the market, I would never submit those. I would it's just, I don't feel right to make money off someone who's just stopped their daily life and let me take a picture of them. That feels a little exploitative to me, and I do have it like a model release app on my iPad, but but I've never asked anyone other than like say family members or some of the kids' friends, mums, to sign that. I just it's not me to do that kind of thing. I mean, obviously there are photographers who do that, and that's how they make their living, and maybe they have a monetary exchange with people when they take pictures of them in the street, you know, but I just prefer not to do that. I feel like I want a genuine exchange, and I do sometimes buy things from people's market stalls or whatever, but I don't want to exploit people and sell their pictures. I wouldn't want, you know, someone to suddenly see their picture on an advert, and you know, like that ballerina in that advert who was like, you know, this advert suddenly gone viral for all the wrong reasons. She probably felt really icky about it, you know.
She was a minor as well. I think she was like 15.
And I want other people to be able to have those genuine exchanges with people. I don't want to ruin it for the people that come afterwards as well, you know.
That's
so,
a really,
I think
good approach. Like, I really like that you think that way, because there's been a lot of discussions in the photography industry lately about, you know, exploitation and ethics, and like how, you know, do you take pictures if you don't belong to the community, and how do you profit off them then? It's a whole mess of an issue, and even like if it's legal to shoot on the street, is it okay to take a picture if someone doesn't want you to take their picture, or like if you're just doing it because they look cool and gritty and whatever?
Is that differentiating between editorial and commercial effects?
But I just feel like I don't want to. We have a responsibility to be kind global citizens as we travel. It really upsets me when I see people being rude and getting in front of other people with their cameras and ruining someone else's experience. Like, so when we were in Nepal earlier in the year, it was one of the Tibetan sects' New Year. So the girls and I went to a ceremony, and of course Indigo got pushed right to the front, but there was a whole load of guys there, all with, you know, big cameras, big lenses, and they all pushed their way to the front, but they were getting up and down and sticking their cameras in front of these ordinary Tibetans who were there to celebrate, and that kind of behavior just sits really wrong with me. Like, you know, this isn't your ceremony, and don't ruin that moment for the people for whom this is a really important part of their year. You know, if you're like Indian, you can get down in front of everyone and you're not in anyone's way. And that's something that I've always said to Indy, please don't get in anyone else's way, because, you know, like at the ceremony in Varanasi where they pushed her right to the front, but they're there because that's their religion, and that might be their only chance to ever go and experience that in Varanasi. You know, we can probably go back, maybe they can, but we don't know that, and we don't have the right to take away from what they're experiencing just because we want a photo. You know, like, it's a photo, and what are you going to do with it? And for so many of these people, their photos are only to show off to their friends on Facebook. They're not making a living with it, you know. And I just think it's a really fine line of being respectful of communities and people and what's going on, and ceremonies and nature and the environment and I always try to remind myself that your human interactions are actually much more important than the photo. And if you get the photo, that's a bonus, and that's great, and that's lovely that you have that memory. But I don't want to feel icky about the fact that I've got that photo and that I've done someone else an injustice or a disservice, or I've been pushy or selfish, or, you know, they're the ones that are from there. They have far more right to be there than I do. So I would rather stand back and miss out on the photo, or get it from a distance and explain it in words rather than having that stellar photo. You know, for me, that just, and when I see people, I've seen people pushing other people out of their way to get an iPhone photo, and I just think, is it really worth being rude for an iPhone photo, you know? And
I think it's sometimes in that sort of situation, especially if you are a tourist, like a short-term tourist, and you're so obsessed with trying to get yourself to the front to take a picture that you're actually missing the point of the experience, and you're not living in the moment, and you're not going to remember the moment. You're going to remember through the picture rather than actually remember being there. So it's a really funny thing where people become, I think, because being able to take photos is so accessible now, even with like, you know, phones being so good as well, you don't even need a camera, then people become obsessed with taking pictures, and you forget. I remember there was one occasion where I realised that I was not living the moment, and it really made me think about that. Was when the Olympics were in Britain in 2012, and the flame, when they were doing the flame, you know, through the relay of the flame, it literally went outside our house.
Right.
So we had loads of people over, and like the whole road was just full of people, you know, at the time when it was going to come out, and we were all outside. I was so bloody busy taking pictures, I didn't actually see the flame go past. Oh, fuck's sake, what a stupid idiot. I did. I didn't actually see it, and you know, it's like, oh, okay, that's really stupid. I'm not going to do that again.
And it seems like a really crazy thing for a photographer to say, but the moment is more important than the photograph. You know,
an experience.
If you get both, then yay, whoopee-doo, good for you. But don't miss the moment for the sake of the photograph.
That's important. In the long being there and living it and experiencing it is actually, that's what's going to really stick and make a difference.
And I feel like that with, you know, like when we've been to areas where there's remote tribes and stuff like that, I don't want them to only remember that every tourist that makes it to them is like this in their face. You know, I want them to remember that we sat down and had a cup of tea with them, and the, you know, and sometimes when you do that and you take that time to be in that moment, the pictures that you ultimately end up getting are better. So like with the headhunter guy, I think there was one where Indy was taking a photo of one of the headhunter guys, and there was 8 of them sitting around this fire, and then the wife came out and she offered us cups of tea, and we just sat and we chatted, and I didn't want to take photos because they were a bit scary and I didn't want to offend them. And then eventually they were like, you can take photos if you want. But what was really lovely was when I started chatting to the wife, because obviously no one really spoke to the wife. Everyone went for the guys with their tattooed faces and their big horns coming out of their ears and stuff. And I asked her about her skirt, and then she went and got another one that she was in the middle of making and showed me how she made it. And then she put it on, and then she did a little dance, and like, I got something so enriching that was different to what everyone else got, because I just sat and chatted, you know, whereas if I'd just gone in and gone bang, 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 got the photos, thanks, bye, you know, like I would have got the same as everyone else.
They're but more forthcoming with their personalities and wanting to show you things just because you've spent a bit of time.
Yeah, no one wants to feel like a commodity, do they? You know? So I think
they're not there as like some show.
Well, and like I say, you know, when Safi was little, I'd be in the supermarket in China and people would come up with their mobile phones, and I'd be like, I'm just trying to do my weekly shop, like get out of my face, you know. But so I think maybe because I've been on the receiving end of that, I've got some empathy to how it feels when your everyday life is disrupted by that, and I don't want to make people feel like that, and I think we have to remember that no matter how much we want the shot, you know, these people are living their everyday life, and you know, you let them get on with it, and if they're okay with it, they'll invite you in, or it's just
the thing about like talking with people and letting them trust you, I think it's really applicable when you talk about documentary family photography as well. And we chatted about that before, I think, Emma, at some point or another, where, you know, if you're that sort of person who is with the family for the whole day or whatever, and you just take pictures and you don't take time to interact with them, they're not going to be as comfortable with you as if you put your camera down, have a cup of tea with them, talk to them, play with the kids. So you kind of like, you can't be that. It is documentary, but it doesn't mean that you can't talk to them or interact with them.
Antonina, was it you who had the kids who said that?
That felt a bit creepy. Yeah. So I had a family. My first day in their life was like a portfolio. It was a test shoot, so I was testing. They weren't paying me, luckily. I mean, I still got great pictures, but I had this idea in my head that I had to be like completely an observer, right?
Right.
And it was fine. Like they're a really relaxed family. They, you know, they're just really cool, did lots of awesome things. But later, the mom she's a uni friend of mine, she said, well, they felt a bit like weird that you didn't play with them. You were with us for the whole day. I got there where they were still waking up, and you didn't play with them, and it felt really weird for them, and it felt a bit creepy. So that kind of stayed with me, and since then I make sure that I talk to everyone and I play with the kids and I help her. Like now with COVID, it's kind of harder because I'm like having to stop myself, not to help and like hold the baby and whatever. But yeah,
it's a baby.
But it's the same with everything, isn't it? We get the best human interactions when we are our best human self, right? You know, like if we go in and we're being robots or we're being like, you know, picky or in your face or whatever, you're not going to get the best out of anyone, and that doesn't result in the best experience for yourself either.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I always feel like when you engage with people, when you chat, you always get that little something extra. I mean, there's always those split second pictures that you get that turn out amazing, you know, like Indy's monk one, and I had one that won a competition of a lady on a train, and literally the train pulled into the station and she was right there. I made eye contact, I took the picture, and I think it won because it was a little bit, you know, Steve McCurry-esque, of this very direct gaze from the woman through the grill on the train, and that was a real lucky moment. But in actual fact, it's not a lucky moment, because as a photographer, we've trained ourselves to see those moments, to have our cameras set up, to have all the settings, you know, we know what we're doing, so that when we see that moment, we can get it, you know, and it's one shot and done sort of thing. So you kind of create your luck, but at the same time, that was a fleeting moment that was going past. But in general, I would say you get the best out of people and scenes when you've taken a bit of time to get a feel, whether that's an environmental picture or whether it's a person picture, or, you know, I just feel, like, and whether they're getting on with their own thing because they're comfortable that you're not doing anything weird and you're not trying to rob their stall or whatever. I just, you like, when we're human and we make ourselves approachable and we approach other people and we interact with them, that's how we all get the best out of the experiences.
Well, that's probably a good moment to end on, right? Yeah,
it could be. We've been chatting for ages.
I know, we could go on. But I think let's be kind to people who have to sit through a long interview. I'm gonna stop the live feed now. Kirsty, don't disconnect, just give me a sec. Bye everyone.
Thanks, bye.
Stop live stream. Wait a second.